Hello! Today I want to tell you a little bit about some of the scams I have encountered in my travels.
Wanna travel the world with
Do you like being scammed? No. I hate being scammed. Everybody hates being scammed. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. You know, someone takes advantage of you. They rob you of your money. They rob you of your pride. You just feel so awful. Nobody likes being scammed. So maybe some of my stories can help you not evade, what would be the word here? So hopefully some of my stories here can help you avoid the scams that you might encounter. One of the worst scams, one of the worst traps I ever fell into was in Istanbul, Turkey. But that's a whole nother video. You really should go check out that story. That was quite a scam. Yeah. Now, the typical thing here in Bolivia and many Latin American countries, and I'm sure other countries around the world as well, is you go to the market and, they notice that, hey, you're a gringo. You are not from around here. And so they're going to try to take advantage of you. And it's like, one of the typical ones is, you walk up to this lady who's selling some trinkets or whatever, and she's not even paying attention to who you are or who's around her or anything. I'm like, hey, how much is that? ¿Cuánto es eso? And she's like not even looking at me. She's like, oh, it's 30 pesos. And then like she looks up to me. I mean 50 pesos. What is it? Okay, this is not white privilege. This is the white curse. Okay? Like, you looked at me, before you looked at me, it was 30 Bolivianos, and now you look at me, and it's all of a sudden 50 pesos? Like, what in the world? Like, that's, Another really typical one is, like, you go to the market, or you go to a store, and you see some, like, really nice, like, name brand clothing, or wallet, or watches, or shoes, or pretty much anything you can think of that's just, nice name brand, like Puma, or Nike, or, I don't know, Adidas, or just whatever, You're, like, looking at it, and it's, like, really cheap. And you're like, wow, I can't believe this is so cheap here. So you, like, buy it, and you take your Lacoste shoes home, and then all of a sudden the little alligator falls off. Crap. Okay, pretty much everything can be pirated here. Yeah, clothing and watches and cologne and all kinds of stuff. People are always on the lookout to see if it is authentic or not. And here in Bolivia, we have a specific word for it. It's a very Bolivian word called trucho. So trucho means trout, literally. But we use it as an adjective, and it means like fake. So yeah, if you're looking at this nice Adidas T-shirt, and you look a little bit closer, and you'll see, oh no, this T-shirt is trucha. It's fake. It's not real. It's not authentic. So that's really typical. You got to watch out for the pirated goods here in Bolivia. And, in many other countries around the world, not just Bolivia. I love Bolivia. Bolivia's amazing. I'm not complaining about Bolivia. I'm not focused on Bolivia, even though it's just most of my experiences happened to me here in Bolivia because I've been living here for over 15 years. I love you, Bolivia. There was another time when I got scammed buying bus tickets to Argentina. Yes. So basically I went looking for a bus that would take me like straight across the border, just one bus from Santa Cruz, Bolivia, all the way to Salta, Argentina. One bus, just make it simple. And this one company was like, oh yes, we can do that. Yeah, okay, yes, just one bus, take you straight all the way to Salta. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it wasn't just one bus. Now there have been other times that they have attempted to scam me, and fortunately, it didn't work. I did not fall for it. Ha ha ha. Let me tell you one of those stories. Now, there's this one time when I was in downtown Santa Cruz, just walking around. I don't remember where I was going. And for some reason, I had my American passport with me, which is not usual. I don't usually take my passport with me. But for some reason that day, I had to have it, and I don't remember why. Anyways, I was just walking along, and all of a sudden, this really old white Toyota Corolla stops, which is like the typical taxi in Bolivia. It stops, and this guy jumps out, and he's like, "Show me your passport. I need to see your passport." And I start to reach for my passport in my pocket, and then I'm like, "Wait a minute." And I'm looking at the guy. The guy's dressed like just a normal guy, just shirt and jeans, whatever. And I'm like, "Who are you?" "Oh, well, we're the police, and we're checking up on tourists, we got to control immigration and stuff like that." And I was like, "What?" And he keeps insisting, "Show me your passport, show me your passport." I was like, "And if I don't?" And he's like, "Well, then we're going to have to take you to the police station." And I was like, "No, dude, I'm not showing you my passport." And eventually the guy was just like, "Ugh," and he gets back in the car and he's like, "Turn it around." So the taxi turns around and goes back the other way. Just like, what was that? Now, on another trip, I had gone to La Paz, which is the capital city of Bolivia. Kind of. I mean, Bolivia has two capital cities. It's Sucre officially, and then La Paz is where everything really is, the president and all the embassies and everything. Anyways, I'd gone to La Paz. Now, this was a very important trip for me because I had just gotten my Bolivian citizenship. And I had to go to La Paz to get my very first Bolivian birth certificate made. It's kind of strange because I wasn't born here, but I needed a Bolivian birth certificate so I can get all my other paperwork done, my national ID card and driver's license and all that other stuff. So I had finally gotten my Bolivian birth certificate made and everything, and I was all excited, and it was time to go home. So I was walking back to the bus station, and I'm walking up this hill, and I noticed that there's this guy just kind of off to the side walking somewhat close by. Didn't really think anything of it. I just figured he was going to the bus station too, We're just walking along, minding our own business. Then all of a sudden this dude comes running from behind us and passes us, and he's just booking it. And a few meters up in front of us, he drops something. So, I walk over there and I look at it and pick it up, and it was this Ziploc bag full of money. And it was Bolivian money, bolivianos, and dollars. And it was just full. I mean, there was a ton of money in this little Ziploc bag. And the guy that was next to me, he was like, "Mira, lo ha desamado," which is Bolivian for, "Look, he dropped it. They say he poured it out. Literally, that's what he's saying. He says, he poured it. And he's like, "Hey, we can split it up, 50-50, 50-50, 50 for you, 50 for me." And I'm thinking in my head, this poor guy just lost all of his money. Man, this has got to suck for him. I mean, he's probably on his way traveling somewhere right now, just in a hurry to get to his bus. He's probably late. He's going to get there. He's, maybe he's bought his bus ticket. Maybe he hasn't. I don't know. Maybe, he's going to get to the bus station and realize he's lost all of his money and he's not going to be able to buy his bus ticket. And he's going to be stranded here. It's going to be so awful. Oh, this poor guy. Or what if he, gets to his destination, then he realizes that, oh, he's lost all of his money, and how is he going to get back? So I'm just like really empathizing with this poor guy who lost his money. The guy next to me, he keeps insisting, hey man, 50 for you, 50 for me, And I like look at the guy, I'm like, no, I think I can catch him. I wanted to take the money and run as fast as I could to try and catch up with the guy and give him his money back. But the guy keeps insisting. He's like, no, 50% for you, 50% for me. We split it, And then he goes into like this little like alley, and he's like, come here, 50 for you, 50 for me. And I just get this like feeling like in my gut, like, no, something's not right here. So I was just like, no, I don't want it. I don't want that money. And so I keep walking up, towards the bus station, get there, buy my ticket. I still got a few hours before the bus is going to leave. So I'm, walking around the city a little bit more. And man, you see all these like poor people that are begging on the streets. And, start to think, man, maybe I should have taken that money. Like, I could have like given it to the poor, could have bought them bread, or I don't know, I could have done something good with that money instead of just letting that other guy take it all. I mean, that's just not right, I get home and I see my wife, and she's asking me about the trip, and I'm telling her about, how I got my paperwork, and I'm all excited. I got my Bolivian birth certificate, everything's great. And then I tell her about this other story, about how this guy, was dropped the money, and then this other guy was like, hey, let's split it 50-50. And I was like, no. And then I was like, man, I should have taken that money because I could have given it to the poor. And then my wife was like, oh my gosh, that's the cuento del tío. So this is what they call this type of scam, the uncle's story. So she begins to explain to me what would have happened if I had taken the money. These two guys were actually working together. The guy who ran past us and dropped the money, and the guy who was walking next to me. So after we would have divided up the money, we would have parted ways, and then, a little bit further, the guy who dropped his money would accuse me to a police officer of having stolen his money. And I'd be like, what are you talking about, And then the police officer, probably not even a real police officer, would have come over, and they would have checked me, and they would have found the money, and then, they would have taken all the money back plus all of my money, and then probably searched and gone through all my stuff and seen if I had anything of value in my stuff, and taken all of that too. And basically they just would have stripped me down and left me with nothing. Whoa. I'm so glad I didn't fall for that. I'm so glad that in that moment, it was compassion that was steering my heart and not greed. Because if I had been a little bit greedy and said, man, give me that money, I would have fallen into the trap, and they would have possibly taken all my paperwork or my passport or just, all my money and all that stuff. Would have been horrible. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys later.
Over coffee in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. So beautiful. Windmills and tulips everywhere. We're surrounded by full color.